Hello and welcome to Cricket Happenings, your daily cricket show, dear friends and subscribers. And on this particular cricket show, there are going to be three matches. So definitely, I wouldn't be able to go into any nitty gritties, but it will be a plain cricket summary. So just talking about it, let's talk about the. Let's first take you live to New Zealand at the Basin Reserve in Wellington, where in the second test match New Zealand are doing a fine job here. They are really having having this innings of South Africa under real control, as what they have done is they have reduced South Africa. New Zealand actually made 268 all out, and while I'm talking to you, play is just started. Probably 4 or 5 overs have gone after lunch, and I do see that South Africa are really struggling here. 133 for 6. Quinton de Kock and Temba Bavuma are in the middle right now, and definitely a wonderful job done by the New Zealand bowlers, especially De Granholm, who really took advantage of the nice breeze which was blowing. Also Saudi and Wagner. So I'll come back to that later. But yesterday New Zealand were led by a wonderful, a positive knock from the youngster Henry Nichols, who decided to play his natural game, and that natural game definitely came off. As for New Zealand, the chips were absolutely down, but Henry Nichols took it upon himself to slam a century. And what was good about Henry Nichols' innings was the positivity with which he played. He was not really perturbed by the fact that New Zealand was struggling. He really took the attack to the rival's camp and played a wonderful innings which was absolutely full of strokes, which I'll be talking about. So New Zealand 268, South Africa right now, as I'm talking to you, 133 for 6. We'll come back to that. We'll revisit this place later as and when anything happens. The other match, as far as Bangladesh and Sri Lanka were concerned, day 2, Sri Lanka, they were all out for 338, with Dinesh Chandimal going to a well-deserved century, and after hitting the century really opened up by slamming some boundaries and sixes. And as far as Bangladesh were concerned, they once again put up a very good opening stand. Now opening stand is something that Bangladesh, I think this Tamim Iqbal and Soumya Sarkar would be regular openers for Bangladesh, because what Tamim Iqbal and Soumya Sarkar did is that they put on a 95 runs partnership for the opening wicket, and that really set the stage. But later on, Bangladesh, even though they got a good opening partnership, one thought that Bangladesh could not capitalize, as they finished on 214 for 5. They are still 124 runs adrift of the Sri Lankan total. So I'll come back to that as well. And the other match, which had a lot of interest, absolutely, I would say, pushed into it, is because of the real needle that was going on. But Australia closed on a very good total. In fact, Australia won the toss and elected to bat at the new stadium, at Ranchi, which was actually seeing its first ever test match in that particular ground. And Australia would be very happy with that effort, as they closed the day at 299 for 4. And Stephen Smith, it was all about Stephen Smith and Glenn Maxwell, as Stephen Smith was not out on 117. It's the third century of the series for Stephen Smith. He was not out, or second century, I reckon. He had 117 to his name. He was not out on 117 with 13 boundaries. And keeping him company was Glenn Maxwell, who came into the team in place of Mitchell Marsh. And what a star turn he has done for himself. I mean, one would have probably not expected Maxwell. Maxwell really played an uncharacteristic knock, I would say, because contrary to what his nature is, he decided to really play in test match fashion, as he collected 82 runs. And the partnership right now is still going strong. They joined hands at 140 for 4, and they have already pivoted the Australians to 299, and this partnership has been really frustrating India. And I have to say that right now Australia are definitely in the box seat here, 299 for 4. So we'll come back to that later. But first, what I'm going to do is, in the meanwhile, I'm going to see whether there are any developments that are happening as far as the New Zealand South Africa are concerned. I don't see any developments happening. The score still remains on 138 for 6. So first, let's head on to the match between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. So Sri Lanka resumed on their overnight score, where Bangladesh had totally taken the honors on the first day, as you remember, and on the second day it was a matter of Dinesh Chandimal continued in the same vein. Rangana Herath was giving him company, but Shakib Al Hasan picked up the wicket of Rangana Herath for 25, 2 boundaries. But after that, even though Rangana Herath was gone, probably Bangladesh would have nurtured hopes. When Rangana Herath was dismissed, the score was 250 with only Chandimal and Lakmal. But Lakmal definitely provided very ample support to Dinesh Chandimal to prolong his innings, as in the company of Lakmal, who contributed 35 with 2 fours and 1 6. Chandimal reached his century. Not only reached his century, but after reaching his century, Chandimal really indulged himself in some real big hitting, as all those boundaries that had dried up yesterday started coming out of his locker, as he hit some very nice boundaries with lots of aggression. And he also swung Mustafizur Rahman over the square leg region for a 6, as Chandimal was finally out for 138 with 10 fours and 1 6. But Sri Lanka would definitely know this value of the knock that Chandimal has played here. Lakmal was out for 35, Sandakan not out 5, and the Sri Lankan innings, Sri Lanka were all out for 338. The bowling, well, as I said, Mehdi Hasan Miraz had 3 wickets, 2 wickets to Mustafizur Rahman, Subhashish Roy and Shakib Al Hasan, and 1 to Tajul Islam. Now, it was the turn for the Bangladesh to actually reply to the total. Once again, we saw that the Bangladesh openers, Tamim Iqbal and Soumya Sarkar, once again showed that they are tough nuts to crack, and definitely increasingly what they have shown in the series against Sri Lanka is that Bangladesh are definitely getting that opening slot now filled up here, because Tamim Iqbal and Soumya Sarkar seems to have a good understanding, and what they did is they stitched together a partnership of 95 runs for the first wicket, with Tamim Iqbal showing some good aggression in his innings, Soumya Sarkar taking his time to build an innings. But Soumya Sarkar once again, probably this is his third 50 as an opener, and Soumya Sarkar also was impressive, as Tamim Iqbal and Soumya Sarkar built together a partnership of 95 runs for the first wicket. And then finally the breakthrough came when Rangana Herath was the one who had Tamim Iqbal LBW for 49 with 6 fours. After that, Soumya Sarkar and he was joined in by Imrul Case. Imrul Case also started giving good support to Soumya Sarkar, and Soumya Sarkar, one has to say, did a good job. And finally, after collecting his third 50 of the series and also making 61 runs with 6 boundaries, and then Imrul Case got support from Sabir Rahman, and Sabir Rahman happened to be they were 130 for 2 at that stage, and after that there was a very good partnership. 62 runs were added between Imrul Case and Sabir Rahman. Imrul Case normally is an aggressive player, but he really understood the situation very well and played very maturely. And also on the other hand, Sabir Rahman was also doing the same with some nice session punctuated in between. Sabir Rahman in Imrul Case took 62 runs of the Sri Lankan bowling attack, and things were going on. But then finally, at the score at 192, this was the time that Bangladesh actually started losing wickets, as after that partnership of 62 runs between Imrul Case and Sabir Rahman, it was the wicket of Imrul Case, as Sandakan actually had him LBW for 34 with 4 boundaries. And Soumya Sarkar was trying to actually shape to hit the ball to cover, and that was the way that he was dismissed by Sandakan as he missed it and he was clean bowled. So after that, once Imrul Case was gone, a night watchman was sent in, Taijul Islam, but it was of no avail as Sandakan actually had him LBW for naught. And then finally, with the score on 198 for Bangladesh, Sabbir Rahman fell a victim to the bowling of Lakmal for 42 with 5 boundaries, which really got Sri Lanka onto a better position here at 198 for 5. And after that, it was a matter of survival. Shakib Al Hasan definitely hit the 3 boundaries in his unbeaten knock of 18, and Mushfiqur Rahim just survived a wonderful bouncer from Suranga Lakmal to leave at stumps on 2 not out. So Shakib Al Hasan not out 18, Mushfiqur Rahim not out on 2, and Bangladesh closing the day at 214 for 5. They are still 124 runs adrift of the Sri Lankan total, but nevertheless they would be having hope here with Shakib Al Hasan, Mushfiqur Rahim, their mainstay batsmen at the crease, and they would hope that tomorrow, because there's still 30 overs, still probably 20 overs to go before the new ball could be claimed. So Shakib Al Hasan, Mushfiqur Rahim would like to make the most of it in the morning tomorrow. As far as the bowling was concerned, Lakmal had 1 for 32, 11 overs 2 maidens, 1 for 32. Dilruwan Pereira 19 5 50 not. Rangana had 12 overs 1 for 34 not. But the most successful bowler was Lakshan Sandakan, 14 overs 1 maiden, 65 runs and 3 wickets. They still have some batting to come in the form of the test debutant Mosaddaq Hussain. Mehdi Hassan Miraz, as you know, he has already shown that he could be a good player, good batsman as well, good all-rounder. So definitely it's only 124 runs, so Bangladesh will still fancy themselves because Shakib Al Hasan, Mushfiqur Rahim, as you know, they are the kingpins of this Bangladesh cricket team, and so everything will rest on these 2 players. If they could actually put up a partnership, that would really serve them well as far as Bangladesh is concerned. Now, the next thing that we are going to look at is the match between. So we are moving into day 3 here in Bangladesh versus Sri Lanka, and now the next match we are going to look at is between Australia versus India. So it was the start of the 3rd test match with both the teams locked at 1-1, and after a lot of needle was going on between both the countries, but Australia were the ones who actually won the toss at this very good cricket stadium, JSCA International Stadium Complex, Ranchi, which made history yesterday as it became the 26th venue in India, and this is the first time that a test match was being staged at this particular ground. It was a wonderful ground, nice settings, and Australia won the toss and they decided, and as far as the team was concerned, India decided to go with almost the same team. I mean, Vijay coming into the team, and that was the team composition, and Australia decided to include Glenn Maxwell and Patrick Cummins into the team. And as far as the Australians were concerned, in the meanwhile, I can tell you that South Africa are slowly nurturing their innings. Bavuma and Quinton de Kock have taken the score 149 for 6. So stumps on day 1, Australia are closing at 299. So let's have a story of the day here. What one saw on this particular pitch was this was a good batting pitch. The ball was nicely coming onto the bat, and stroke making was never tough at all. And you're seeing Matt Renshaw more than David Warner, who was really getting on to the Indian bowlers, and he was stroking the ball beautifully on either side of the wicket of the pace bowlers Ishan Sharma and Umesh Yadav. And then finally it was the Umesh Yadav's bowling that actually picked up the wicket of Matt Renshaw, as Matt Renshaw, after doing a fine job, finally went on to nick a delivery into the hands of Kohli, and that was the end of Matt Renshaw, out for 44 with 7 boundaries. But before that, David Warner once again was a victim, once again shown that his overseas record is something which is really suspect. He has been scoring a lot of runs in Australia, but when it comes to playing overseas, David Warner definitely continues to struggle. As today, it was a tame catch offered by David Warner, as David Warner almost gave catching practice to Ravindra Jadeja, the spinner, as he actually, in fact, pushed the catch back to Jadeja, who held it gleefully as David Warner was gone. Cotton bowled Jadeja for 19 2 In fact, he was the first wicket to go. So after Renshaw also fell, the score read 80. And Umesh Yadav, let me tell you, he was bowling superbly. He was getting the ball to reverse swing. His Yorkers were pinpoint perfect, and definitely Umesh Yadav was looking the much better bowler here. And as Sean Marsh came in and joined Stephen Smith. Stephen Smith was looking pretty good. He was looking pretty good with the bat, as he was really playing in a very, very watchful manner, no doubt. But then Ravichandran Ashwin struck by picking up the wicket of Sean Marsh, as Sean Marsh was caught in the forward short leg by Cheteshwar Pujara for 2. And after that, Peter Hanscom came in to join Stephen Smith, and Peter Hanscom, well, he hit 2 boundaries, but then it was Umesh Yadav who really bowled in a pinpoint in-swinging Yorker to Peter Hanscom, and Peter Hanscom was gone LBW for 19. So Hanscom has not been able to get any substantial innings under his belt in this Test series, and that really left Australia into a bit of real, not strife I would say, but definitely they were in a spot of bother at 140 for 4. But and probably India would have thought that at 140 for 4, they definitely had these Australians on a leash. But then the man who walked out to join Stephen Smith, who was looking pretty good, was Glenn Maxwell, who had come into the team. And Glenn Maxwell came in, and really it was good to see, and I'm sure he was really nurtured by Stephen Smith. Probably one saw that Stephen Smith really giving good counsel to Maxwell, probably telling him not to take any risk and really bide his time at the crease. And that was what he precisely did. He followed his captain's instructions and decided to stay put at the crease. In fact, it took a long time for him to even hit a first boundary. So that will really tell you, as Maxwell was following the instructions to a T, along with this, he was following instructions to a T as far as his captain Stephen Smith was concerned. And suddenly we saw Maxwell, who started very, very slowly, suddenly started getting into his groove. And even though he was playing with lots of responsibility, so the commentator was telling that it was an uncharacteristic innings, absolutely, because we all know Glenn Maxwell as a real dasher, but here what a knock he played. And in the end, what one saw was a very pretty picture for the Aussies, as this particular partnership took the Aussies from 140 for 4 to 299 for 4, and the partnership is still going on for the 5th wicket, with Stephen Smith at close of play not out on 117 with 13 boundaries, and Glenn Maxwell not out on 82 with 5 fours and 2 sixes. And I'm not going to go into the bowling here because of shortage of time, because I have to speak about the New Zealand and South Africa match. 2 wickets to Umesh Yadav and 1 wicket apiece to Ashwin and Jadeja. But Umesh Yadav by far was the best bowler. He was really troubling the batsman with his reverse swing, his nice use of bouncers, his Yorkers, and he was really a very good sign for India. So let's have a look at the South Africa versus New Zealand match, and just to tell you what exactly happened, that it was the South Africans right now as I'm talking to you, they are 149 for 6 in reply to the Kiwis total of 238 that they made, and out of which it was Henry Nichols was the man who really not only held the innings, but at the same token, what was good about him was that he played with lots of positivity. He was not bothered about the wickets falling at the other end. The best thing that Henry Nichols did was to really play lots of positivity. He did not waste any time. Right from the time he came to the crease, he decided that he's going to play his natural game, and it was pretty good to see. So just looking at just a quick glance at the scorecard here, just to see what really happened. So New Zealand, as I said, 238, it was not 238, they were all out for 268. They were the ones who won the toss and elected to actually bat first. And in the process, as I said, the New Zealand were all out for 268. But it was all about the maiden century coming in from Henry Nichols, as he was the one, as I said, he played with lots of positivity. Definitely the New Zealand innings were in real dire straits, I would say. But what a knock from the bloke. We are talking about Henry Nichols. He played a wonderful knock. And the South African bowlers and this pitch definitely had something in for the bowlers, there's no doubt about it. So just wanting to look at the scorecard here. As I said, New Zealand 268, as I said, it was Henry Nichols with 118, 15 fours, his first century in Test cricket, and also he got company from Watling, who contributed 34. But other than that, and Tim Southee made 27 with some biffing, and G. Travel, the opener, making 36. Other than that, all the other players were dismissed cheaply. And for South Africa, it was Duminy who actually had his best haul in Test cricket. Very unlikely. In fact, it took 3 wickets in 1 over to have scalps of 4 for 47, 2 wickets for Keshav Maharaj, the spinner, 2 for 59 Rabada, and 2 for Morkel. Vernon Philander had to remain wicketless. But as I'm talking to you, the South Africans have succumbed to 156 for 6 today, and Granholm is the one who has done the maximum damage, as he picked up key wickets. Yesterday picked up the very important wicket of Dean Elgar. Stephen Cook actually continued his failing in the series by poking at a ball from Saudi outside the off stump. Dean Elgar was a victim of the bowling of Granholm, and today Hashim Amla played a team flick to the bowling of Granholm, and Du Plessis was caught brilliantly by BJ Watling off an inside when Du Plessis tried to slap Granholm through the offside. After that, Duminy was a victim of the bowling of Wack of 16, and Rabada had his stumps rearranged by Southee, coming in as a night watchman for 9. As I'm talking right now, the South Africans have progressed to 156 for 6. Bouma is not out 28. Quinton de Kock has gone on to 34. So he has definitely survived the battle that he had with Jeetan Patel, and that's good to see. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that really brings an end to this cricket show here on this Cricket Happening show, and I would like to bid you all a very good night. Thank you.